As a paramedic, I have seen plenty of weird and creepy things, but this one was the scariest one I came across. I responded with police and fired to a report of a man down on the side of the railroad tracks in a wooded area about 500 yards from the nearest access road. A railroad employee riding the tracks during a safety check noticed the man. We all parked and walked with all the equipment to 500 or so yards to where the patient was. He had no signs of life, flatline on the EKG, along with fixed and dilated pupils. Do a little more checking, and he has no visible signs of any type of trauma. The body is not cold yet, and there isn't rigor mortis yet, so he hasn't been dead too long. We don't see any track marks where he would have shot up and overdosed and feel no broken bones. The guy from the railroad said a train hadn't passed in the last 8 hours. We search the area and find a makeshift tent campsite where the guy apparently was living and find no medications or anything out the ordinary. We are not too far from an area where everyone believes is haunted and satanic worshiping takes place. Even though all of us on the scene knew about the rumors, none of us had actually seen it or had proof. It's dark, and we were all waiting around for the funeral home to show up and bring the body to the morgue for an autopsy. Then the spooky crap started, as a few of us heard what sounded like people whispering, but it wasn't from any specific direction. A couple of the guys didn't hear it and thought we were trying to mess with them, then the whispering noises stopped. The people on scene that hadn't heard the whispering started hearing what they all describe as children laughing wickedly, but it was all over, not from any specific direction. Those of us that had heard the whispering never heard the new noise. This went on for about 10-15 minutes while we're standing next to the corpse. Police officers on the scene told the dispatcher to tell the funeral home to step it up and get out there ASAP. We helped them load the body and got the heck out of there. The next afternoon, we went to the morgue to speak with the coroner and find out the cause of death. The first thing the coroner asked us was why did we clean the body. Me and my partner looked at him kind of strange and asked what he was talking about. He said it must have been a very bloody scene, so we told him there was no blood anywhere around the scene. And then he turned a little pale and said that just added to the confusion because the body had absolutely no blood in it whatsoever, and there were no marks anywhere on him where blood could have been drained out. He also said he had a weird experience while doing the autopsy but refused to tell us what happened. To this day, we have still never learned the actual cause of death. I am an emergency call dispatcher. One call I received seemed normal at first. I found out how wrong I was though. I received a call from an elderly lady who had trouble breathing. I had taken several calls from her and her husband in the past, so I recognized her voice. I dispatched an ambulance to her residence and held her on the line, trying to keep her calm. While the ambulance was responding, the ambulance advised that they will be there in 15. She lived in a very rural part of West Virginia. I am talking to her, asking about her husband and how he was doing and just making small talk with her. The ambulance calls in and advises they are on scene, and I let them know that she is in severe respiratory distress, and I still hit her on the line. I let her know the ambulance is coming to the door, and she says okay and hangs up the phone. Pretty normal, right? Well, here's where it gets weird. The paramedic on scene called back about a minute later and advised no one is answering the door. We have a sheriff unit who was in the area pulling on scene about that time. The sheriff unit confirmed the address and advised he is breaching the door to make access to the house. 5 minutes go by and the paramedic on scene radios and asking who the caller is. I advise it was the elderly female who lived at the residence. He tells me that he's going to call him and needs to speak to the supervisor on shift. We get him over to the supervisor, and the supervisor confirms the information that I gave him and asks what's going on. Apparently, the elderly female had been deceased for a while and was in full rigor mortis. They thought I was wrong on the caller, but the other dispatchers played it back and confirmed that it was the female who called. The ambulance transferred the hospital, and we got the same calls in disbelief from the doctors. So, I took a call from a ghost. This case left me feeling very unsettled. I'm a cop, and one cold October night, we got a call to assist the sheriff's office on a burglary in progress out in the county. Because our radios couldn't talk to the county radios, the county dispatch telephoned our dispatch, and our dispatch radio relayed the info to us. We basically had no info and didn't know where we were going, and I had a lonely, eerie, creepy feeling in my bones while driving at crazy speeds to help this family. It took us probably 25 minutes to arrive on the scene. The house was dark. It turned out that the suspect had cut the power days before and had been living in the house while the family of 4 was on vacation. Walking through the yard of the front door, I could hear a man yelling, "Get out of my house, please," politely but firm and loud. I walked in and found an obviously mentally unstable young man. Dirty, bearded, wild eyes. He said I was sent. I am supposed to be here. This is the place. I was sent here. You will be sorry. He didn't respond at all to verbal comments, but he also didn't resist at all when I put the cuffs on him. It was like he was looking through me while I was questioning him and searching his backpack. I was honestly freaked out, even though I was significantly bigger than him. It was just unsettling. I didn't even want to put the man in the back of my car. Didn't want to have my back to that tricky bastard. His backpack was full of miscellaneous items, a notebook full of drawn monsters and rambling writing, a hunting knife, clothes that couldn't have been his, mail from different addresses, and names in a kid's school math book. It was just weird. Eventually, a county deputy arrived and took him away. I never did hear anything else about it.